is. The concept of mounted archery is that it's a martial art, right? Like, this is what humans have been doing for a few thousand years at least, basically for warfare and hunting. We used to hunt off horseback. I mean, the Native Americans hunted down bison, but it was mostly a warfare technique. So what kills the enemy faster is how fast you can reload the bow, right? So this style of archery is vastly different from maybe your hunting archery or with a compound, because it's slow and controlled. It is usually how we do with hunting. You gotta stay quiet. This is fast. The amount of arrows you can get off. So the whole style is going to be completely different than what you're used to.
Good thing I've never shot a single bow.
Right? So it's good, starting from scratch. Have you shot before, Phil?
A gun, but never a bow.
Well, it's very similar in a lot of ways, like with trajectory and whatnot. But so that's that. Where the first half of the morning, from like 10 to noon, we're going to be doing ground archery. I'm going to teach you how to shoot bow, how to drop the quiver, teaching you 2 different styles or methods that are commonly practiced as a sport as a whole. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, we'll probably have a half-hour lunch. I'm going to set up the track in the indoor, right? And I'll set up targets and a track, and then in the afternoon we'll tack up, we'll mount up, and then we'll go through some desensitization techniques for your horse, Elmer, because there's a bunch of new stuff we're introducing to him. Like, the sounds, all this weird stuff happening behind him, that takes, for some horses, a long time to get used to. Others, they're like, nah, I don't care.
We should go over his safety. Obviously, we're working with weapons, so we don't want to draw the bow and point it
anywhere else but the targets, right? They're still pointing objects and they can still hurt you. So watch what's behind. We're not shooting at anybody. Even when you're loaded up, try not to bring the tip and wave it around to people. That's pretty much the big one. And when we're shooting, I will say range is open, range is clear, and that gives you the go-ahead to start firing. When I say range is closed, no more shooting, right? And then when I say pull arrows, you guys can go pull arrows. It's just another level of safety that we need to adhere to. Right? This is my bow. This is 30-pound draw, right? And that means that it's 30 pounds of force when you're at your full draw length, right? Which is roughly for me about 28 inches for my draw. And what's funny, and you guys intuitively know this, but when you draw a little bit, there's not a whole lot of weight on the bow. Like, you can pull it back a little. But as the further you go back, the more the bow wants to put force in. And when you release an arrow, that force compounds and it applies continual force throughout the arrow. So these bows are extremely lightweight from a weight standpoint. Here, feel this. Not even a couple pounds. You guys are both right-handed, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this will actually go on your left hand. And if you make a little L shape with your left hand, the glove fits over the top like this. Like that. My hand's a little bit too big. Almost, yeah. So do it. That's right. Flip it over. It goes on the top side of your hand, like the meaty portion of your palm hand.
Yeah, palm down.
Palm down. Yep. And then slide it over your index finger, like that. Yep, that's perfect. Yep, and then there's a little that Velcro strap. Just kind of, it doesn't have to be tight. All I got to do is keep it on your hand. Okay. So this is your arrow rest, your arrow shelf for the bow. Your arrows will rest on your thumb or your knuckle, your first knuckle here. We're going to teach you on the strong side.
Quivers real quick. There's a whole bunch of different quivers, just like there's a whole bunch of different styles of release. Okay. This quiver is what we call a sword draw. It's, typically you draw your sword from your opposite side. So this I found is one of the most effective quiver types there are, because your bow's up here and all you're doing is drawing. Like, the arrows are pretty much. Do you guys think of any other styles of quivers that might be used in horseback archery?
Across the horse.
The back?
Yeah.
Yes. So back draw is a huge one. You'll see them. I can't really mimic it, but you'll see them up like this and maybe a little bit forward. Because what the name of the game is with mounted archery is efficiency. You want to minimize the amount of time that is wasted in your shot process, from drawing to knocking to shooting to drawing again. And so the methodology behind some of these back quivers is that you're you're already up here when you release, the arrow's going to be right here. So you'll draw it out and load from there. A lot of people, a lot of high-ranked mounted archers in the world use the back hooker. But for all intents and purposes, sword draw is fine, and it's fast. So we're starting out with the bottom of the string hooked onto the side of it. So you see these little lips. That's where the string is going to sit when it's locked down. So you got to keep it a little tight so it doesn't slip off, right? And I'm going to show it to you guys like from my perspective. You want to put your right foot through the string and the bow, okay? And you want to brace the lower limb against the shin of your left leg, okay? And then while keeping this thing tight, because if you let it slip, it has a tendency, like if you don't have it tight, it has a tendency to slip off that hook, right? And then with it tight, you bring your limb around with your right hand and loop it on to the top hook, right? And before you let go of the tension, you want to make sure that both of these loops are hooked on appropriately. Otherwise, if you let it off, it's going to slap you and it's going to pop off, you know? And it happens. That's why we're using lighter weight bows. So it's not, this is an easier process to do, okay? Does that make sense? Step through, keep it just a little tight. All you got to do is just dangle it. You don't have to put a ton of tension on it. Just dangle the string and keep that tension on there. Yep. There you go. Straight. Now, push over, crank over with your right hand as you slide this string up. There you go. Push, 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 push. Helps if your legs are a little bit further apart. It gives you a little bit more leverage.
And keep your knees straight.
Now, as you release it, make sure these strings are in that. The other one, you see the problem there?
Damn.
Good. Good. Now step your leg out. Do a couple pulls to make sure they're seated well.
Oh, you lost your side. Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense? Bending the bow and just sliding finger. What this is the thumb is doing all the force, right? The thumb is doing the one, like, is pulling the string back, right? That is why we call it the thumb draw. The other part of it is if you were to just pull it back with your thumb, what happens to the arrow? It falls off, right? So how do we mitigate that? Is we gotta pin the arrow to the riser of the bow. And we do that with the knuckle of your first finger. I kind of think of it as if you have a key. You guys aren't quite old enough to drive, but I usually do the metaphor of turning a key, right? And that's kind of the same thing. So the knuckle of your first finger is actually pinning that arrow to the bow. And what I will have you guys do is wrap your thumb around and then kind of feel what it's like to have that arrow drop and then pin your knuckle to that bow. Pin your knuckle to the arrow, which pins it to the bow, right? And that enables us, while we're on horseback, bouncing around, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, that arrow will never come out that riser. And that's kind of the drawback of doing what we call a Mediterranean release, which is the typical 3-finger release. And it's kind of hard because you'll have a tendency, and you'll see people that are new trying Mediterranean and their arrows are falling out, especially as there's wind flying at you from the horse, right? So we go this side of the bow, thumb draw, and pin. And you'll do a draw and just a simple release. Wrapping your thumb around the string underneath that brass knock, right? Right underneath, because that's where your arrow's going to be. And let's first just practice with your thumb only, drawing that string back. Remember, don't release. You can kind of wrap it around too if you want. Wrap your thumb around the string, or your fingers around your thumb to kind of help support it. Okay? So your thumb's providing the force. Okay? And let's put the arrow on. And the arrow goes on underneath that brass knob. Okay? Yes. Underneath that brass knob. And what's going to be really helpful for speed shooting is if you actually grab the arrow by the knock at the end. There's a multitude of different ways, but the closer you can grab and guide that knock to the string, the better. So we don't want to be grabbing the arrow like from here and trying to like do it like this. Okay? Let's grab it from the knock, wrap your thumb around, and then we'll draw back. Yep, you're doing great. Move your hand up a little bit. Good. So make a fist. For you, Penelope, this might be a little bit different. Make a fist. Let go of the string for now. Make a fist. Open your thumb and wrap it around that. Yep. Perfect. Get the thumb closer to the arrow. It's okay.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, you look really good. Move your knock up a little bit and your bow hand up a little bit.
Ooh,
Might get too far.
like that?
Yeah. So thumb right next to the arrow. Because we want to keep that arrow from sliding around. So put that thumb close. Keep your fist. You're good. I'll hold the arrow.
The arrow looks so long. Yeah.
Yeah, no, slide it up just a little. Keep your fist sideways. Good. I think that works. So you'll see here, when you apply force with your index knuckle, see? That keeps the arrow from sliding off. You don't have to do super tight, but just enough to keep that arrow where it's supposed to be, okay? Now what we want to do is we can draw back, and when you guys draw, I want you to focus on, not yet, London, I want you to focus on drawing your hand to your jawline, okay? So we want a big, full, open draw with your thumb. Draw to your chin. You can release. Draw and release whenever you're ready. You got more. Hold on. Perfect. Yes. Yes. See how much This is what we call a side shot because we're shooting directly sideways. Release. Let's try not to hold it.
Turn sideways, Beth. Oh, that's the worst.
Good. Nice. It was like slow.
Oh, yeah. Put that elbow back.
Full draw. Don't forget your loading procedure.
Yeah.
Good. Yes.
Better.
Move your hips out. Yep. Yeah. Good.
Well done.
What we slowly want to do is just introduce them to the equipment, right? So we'll stand away, do a little bit, watch their face, watch how he moves. Bella obviously doesn't care, right?
He doesn't.
Wave the bow around a little bit, make sure she sees it. Get nice and big.
She's looking at you.
Here he is. Now he's doing well. And then what you want to do is move off to the side just a little bit. Yeah, wave it around. Put them over their head. So let's do a lap. Walk with them. And we'll do the same thing we were just doing. Make sure they're good at walking. Make sure they're not shut down. Because if they can walk and be calm, that's a huge step. A lot of chaos. Horses don't like chaos sometimes. There we go. Good girl, Bella. He's just taking pictures. Come in. Come on, babes.
What's the one that just jumped the rope?
So, this process is very important. You could easily, I wouldn't say ruin a horse, but you could definitely turn him off to mounted archery by not doing this, taking your time on this stuff.
Girl. You did a good girl. She's like, is that the one I tried to?
Is that how you shoot it?
No.
Hold
Hold
it
it by the
the
riser.
handle. There you go.
Oh, here, like that.
No, like how you're gonna shoot,
Close to the
silly.
cup.
Hold the bow.